Hello YouTube, how's it going? It's the Professional here. So today I thought I'd do a video talking about the Stars Battlefront 2 beta and talking specifically about what I liked about this beta and what I didn't like. And if this rant goes good, I will do more like this in the future because there's going to be a lot of ranting in this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, a lot of people asked me to stream it. I didn't know how people would react to me streaming it because when I tried to stream Fallout, once it didn't go so well, didn't go so positive. A lot of people didn't like that, so I decided just to play it on my own, and I played it only, I'll be honest, I only played it for one day, but I played literally the whole night. I played literally the whole night on it. I played it for hours and hours that one day, so I do got a little bit of a good idea of what the game is basically like, and I hope they change a lot of the things that are in the game. And I'm gonna have a lot of people that are gonna come on this video afterwards, and they're gonna tell me that you have no idea what you're talking about, blah blah blah. This, well, I just wanted to show them this right here. You guys see this? This is the original Stars Battlefront 2 on PS2 right here, and I was such a big fan of it that I even bought the PC version years later. So that's how big of a fan I am of Stars Battlefront. I have Stars Battlefront 1 as well. So Stars Battlefront 2, I bought it 2 times on PC also. So yes, and they are supposed to be making this game based on this. This is what they're going to be like. They want to be like this game used to be. And here, I thought I'd talk about the things that I like in this game. The things that are improved. One thing that I will like, and this is probably the best thing that I've liked so far about Stars Battlefront 2, I like that you get points now for doing a lot of things, and the power-ups that you get, they're no longer random. I hated that so much in Stars Battlefront 1. I hated it that we had to literally like run around and we had to find a stupid power-up. We had to find the Jedi power-up, the hero, the villain power-up to play as Boba Fett, to play as Luke Skywalker. You had to find it, and it was basically whoever found it first got to play as it. So the best player or the worst player got to play as the Jedi, or the hero, the villain, depending on who picked it up first. The same thing went for the vehicles. If you wanted to spawn in the AT-ST, if you wanted to spawn in the AT-AT, if you wanted to get a fighter, you would need to find that pickup, which was it was a bitch. It was annoying. It was annoying trying to find that pickup. And the same thing went for weapons. If I wanted like a weapons pickup, I needed to find the power up. So Stars Battlefront finally ended that. They ended that crap. Oh my god, thank God, it's finally over. And what they replaced it with, kind of like a similar system to this game I played a long time ago called Homefront. Not the new Homefront game, the old Homefront game on PS3. But basically, it was a war game, and in the multiplayer, what would happen is you would go through, and depending on how many kills you got, how many points you got playing the objective, you could then go into the menu, and you could use that points to buy different things like vehicles, weapons, power-ups, things like that. And that's exactly what Stars Battlefront 2 does. And that's how the old game did. The old game did not have crazy power-ups, but the old game, a lot of the maps, when you were playing like a match, like a Galactic Conquest or whatever, and you were like getting a lot of kills, you were capturing flags, you were doing very well, on the bottom of your screen in the old Stars Battlefront, it would say, do you want to play as this hero? And you would hit like left on the D-pad, you would say yes, you'd have 30 seconds to choose. If you said no, it would go to the next player and stuff like that. So it was depending on who did the best, got to play as the hero. And that's the way it should be. And what I like about it is that not only do we have access to the heroes, you can save up for the heroes, but you can also like choose, like you can save up for a fighter, you can fly like a fighter around, you can fly a bomber, there's different kinds of, you can fly a gunship now, and you can spawn a tank. So, and there's like special troopers. You can spawn like a jet trooper for the clones, for instance. You could spawn like a heavy trooper. There's like all these different kinds of classes. I like that. I like that you can buy points with this stuff, and you can get that. It's based on how much you're contributing. And one thing that I do like, that I've noticed a lot, when I'm playing the objective, it'll actually say on the bottom of my screen, playing the objective, and I get like a bonus score. And on top of that, they have like the squad system. I wasn't able to get like a complete good view of the squad system, but I did notice is that there's like kind of like a squad system you see up on top, and you see like everybody in your squad, you see what they're playing as, if they're like in a vehicle or whatever they're doing. And the closer you stay to your teammates, the more points you get, which, you know, it encourages team play. It encourages team play, and that's good. And the space combat is really good. I've liked it. I didn't really have any complaints with the space combat, but the structure of the space combat is flawed. I don't have a complaint about the actual fighter combat, but the structure of it is I don't like. I'm gonna explain that in a little bit. Now then, let's start out on the ground battles, and then we'll go into space, where space has my biggest complaints. Now, the ground battles, it's if you've played Operations Battlefield 1, because this is DICE, it's very similar to Operations mode, the one that I've played. It's basically kind of like a cinematic, like linear, like kind of like battle based on like events in the movies, I would say. And it's like the one that I've played is the assault on Feed Palace, where the droids, the separatists, they're trying to they're pushing up to the palace, and they have like this big droid like tank carrier, kind of similar to Walker Assault in the other one, and they're trying to push up with it, and the clones have to try to keep them back. If the droids manage to break through, the huge tank blows a hole in the fortress, in the palace, I'm sorry. The droids attack the palace, they take the middle of the palace, they take it, and then they have to take the throne room. If they take the throne room on the third step, they win. So similar to Operations Battlefield, where you have to take the flags, you have to push them back, you have to push them all the way back, and there's like kind of like a cinematic twist to it. I like that, don't get me wrong, but what does get me annoyed is, guess what? No galactic conquest. And what I hate about it is I hate that a lot of these maps are just so, how do I put it? These maps are just so linear. Like, the maps are big, but they're linear, meaning, like, you fight all the way straight to the palace, then you fight through the palace. Like, that's basically it. Like, I want a more open map, like, kind of like in the old Star Wars Battlefront 2 games. Like, look at the Hoth map in Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the original one. Look at that. Look at how big and open that map. Look at the Mos Eisley maps, even. Like, you could run around all over Mos Eisley, capture the different flags. You had all these, look at Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk was also a really good map in the other ones. Even the space station map, Polish Masa, that was a good one, where you could run around the space station, and then you could also take a vehicle through the middle and like cut through it. So there was all these different things that you could get in it, and it was interesting. But the maps that they currently have, it was just so linear, and there's no galactic conquest. While I don't mind that kind of mode. I don't mind a mode that's where it's kind of like cinematic, kind of like the movies. The droids have to push in the palace. I don't mind something like that. But give us the old galactic conquest. Give us the galactic conquest that was in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And for people who are unfamiliar with what galactic conquest exactly was, it was basically this mode that you were playing, and you would have two teams going up against each other. In the two eras you had the Galactic Civil War, Rebellion versus the Empire, and then you had the Separatist Crisis, where basically had the Republic versus Separatists. And what would happen is one team would have like a fleet of ships on like this little map you would see. And the fleet of ships would basically, like, they could have multiple ships at once depending on how much points they get, and they choose to attack a planet, but they can only attack in a certain order. Like, they can't attack a planet all the way across. They have to attack the closest planet. And there are certain planets that certain teams hold. Like, for example, the Republic will hold a certain number of these planets, the Separatists will hold a certain number of these planets. And once the Separatist team in the old games would choose, for example, we're going to attack this Republic planet, what would happen is it would immediately load up on that map, on that planet. And the Republic would be defending. It would basically be like a form of conquest, like basically a bunch of flags, and you have to hold the flags, and you have to try to, and the flags are spawn points, and you have to try to get the enemy's tickets down to 0. Once you get the enemy's tickets down to 0, you win. That's how you did it, and you take the planet over. And if the people who won, if the people who defended, they win, they destroy the enemy's ship. So the enemy ship gets destroyed. If the attackers win, they take over the planet, and they can move on to the next planet with the ships. Now, if two ships come in contact with each other, they start a space battle. We'll get into that later. But basically, that's what happened. You had the whole map of the galaxy, and it was a giant war. It was a giant war spanning over multiple maps. That's how they should have done. And the team at the end that wins, gets the most planet, wins. In the end, that's how you do it. That's how you did it. And depending on how good a team is doing, they could get certain things. They could get a hero spawn. They could get like back the tanks, different things like that. But there's no galactic conquest in this one so far, and that's really pissing me off. And it looks like, I don't know for certain if there's going to be Galactic Conquest or not. There's a lot more maps, but the developers were asked about Galactic Conquest, and they seem to ignore the question every time they're asked about it, I've noticed. So it's like I don't know, like, these guys are trying to replicate a game. They're trying to replicate the old Star Wars Battlefront, but yet they're like ignoring the main features in the game. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It's like you're trying to make a racing game and you take out all sports cars and you only have muscle cars in the game. It's like that. That's still a racing game technically, but you're taking out one of the core features of the game, which was Galactic Conquest, which I don't understand that. And another thing that I didn't like, and this isn't that big of a deal, but one thing that I did not like, when I was playing as the droids, a lot of times when I was playing as the droids, I noticed that they hip fire a lot. And what I've noticed is the droids don't have like iron sights on their guns. They don't have iron sights, and they don't have scopes on a lot of their guns. Some of their guns they do, but a lot of them you have to fire from the hip. And if you try to zoom in, it just zooms in more on the hip. It doesn't zoom in with iron sights, which I really don't like. I like iron sights and I like scope. The other Star Wars Battlefront game, for most of their weapons, they did it fine. Some of the weapons had hip fire, really annoying, but I prefer it where it's a scope. Where it's a scope, it zooms in and I can see it. That's what I like. I like playing in first person. I do like the third person, but I like playing in first person. That's just, I'm more used to it. I'm more used to shooters, but I do like playing from third person time to time, and they have done third person well. I'll give them that. Third person has been done well. Third person mode has been done well. But what I've noticed is the droids, they don't have droidekas. Droidekas from the movies, you guys remember those like balls that are like spinning around and then they make like the big shield around them and they start firing rapidly? That should be a power-up. That should be a power-up that the Separatists should be able to use, because, you know, each team should have its own unique power-ups, its own unique weapons. And that's something. And another thing that's kind of disappointed to me is that I haven't noticed any vehicles that are two-seaters. I'm kind of disappointed by that. I wish some of the vehicles were two-seaters. Like, you know, it encouraged teamwork. Like, the Separatists, when they can spawn their big tank, only one person pilots the tank. Why can't two people be in the tank? In the old Star Wars Battlefront game, two people could be in the same tank, which I don't understand why you can't use a tank to transport more people to the objective, you know, and then cover your teammates. That'd be a good way to transport your team. But unfortunately, they only allow one person per the vehicle, and the people would say to me, you know, you can only spawn the vehicle, but if you spawn the vehicle, people should be able to get in. Like, they should be able to run up to it, press square or whatever, get in the vehicle, get in the tank. I don't understand why a huge tank like that is only limited to one person. It doesn't make sense to me. So I guess that's my main complaints about the ground gameplay so far, is I've noticed that there's not no galactic conquest. The Naboo map, while it was beautiful, it did look nice. It looked really linear to me. Like, it didn't look like you were able to really explore on the map. Like the tanks, you can't carry that many people in it. It's all these different things, the hip fire, a lot of various other issues. One other thing that I did kind of notice that kind of pissed me off, in a way, not really a big deal, but it did aggravate me a little bit, is when I was playing as the different classes, what I do like is that they made different classes. Now, we're going to go into that specifically. They have the assault class, they have the heavy class, then they have the sniper class, and I forgot what the fourth class was. I'm sorry for my memory. Somebody could tell me in the comments below. But each class has its own unique abilities, you know, and that's good. You know, you encourage the diversity in the gameplay. But one thing that did kind of annoy me is when each class has three abilities. Each class has three abilities. They can range from like throwing a grenade to like spawning a shield, like, and their cooldowns. But what I don't like is that they don't tell you specifically what the power up is, and I had to experiment with it, and I had to play around with it on my own. If you go into the menu, and you click on each class, you can read what the power up does. But I didn't have time for that. I just went straight into the game, and I don't think everybody's gonna go into the menu and read what the power ups do. I don't think everybody just wants to hop in straight in the game and play it. And what annoyed me is that when I was playing, and I didn't know what each power-up did. Like, I wish they would have, like, a little bit of dialogue on the top. Like, a little tiny dialogue would appear, like a little box would say grenade, and this would say shield, and this would say this, rapid fire, or something like that, so then you would know what it is. Eventually, though, when everybody gets used to the abilities, this is not going to be important when everybody knows what the abilities are, but for beginners, they're not going to know what these abilities are, and it's going to be really frustrating trying to figure them out. So I wish they would. Like, I didn't know this one ability, I didn't know what it did, I didn't know what it was going to do, and I activated it, and it gave me a shield, so I had to, like, play around with it and figure out what it did. The game doesn't specifically tell you what the abilities are going to do. You have to hit them. That's what's kind of annoying. Now, moving on to the space combat. Oh man, the space combat. I'm going to have a lot of complaints here. Now look, what I was implying earlier, the space combat is good. The actual ship-to-ship combat, like fighting other fighters, like getting behind, getting into dogfights, that's good. That's good. It's great. It's great. The first person view in fighters is good. They added multiple fighters now. Because in the previous game they had a fighter that was specific in attacking. They had a fighter that was specific in just like an X-wing, for instance, and a regular TIE fighter. They could dogfight also, but they could also bomb targets a little bit. And then they added the third, and then they have the fighter, which is just used for dogfighting other fighters, and then they have the bomber. The bomber's a new vehicle, which I do like that they added a bomber. You know, the bomber's purpose. The bomber is a little misleading, though. It's a little misleading because when I first read it, I assumed that it was going to be used to bomb targets, like destroy targets, like bigger parts of ships, hit targets, like stuff like on capital ships objectives, basically damage objectives. That's what I assumed its purpose was going to be. But the bomber does have missiles. It has missiles that can kill a lot of fighters really quickly. Like, the bomber is slow and it's big, which makes it balanced, but it does have missiles that can kill other fighters really quickly, and I didn't notice that at first. So they created another fighter. The fighter combat is good. What's wrong with the space combat, Professional? You're probably saying, what's wrong? Well, what I don't like is, again, I'm going off of this because I'm a Star Wars Battlefront. I'm an original Star Wars Battlefront player. I bought this game years and years ago when it first came out when I was a kid, and I played Star Wars Battlefront 1, I played Star Wars Battlefront 2, I bought them both on the first day, and again, I bought the PC version. What gets me annoyed is that the space battles are not like they were in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original. And I'm going to tell you, the space battles that were in the original game were better than the space battles that are right now. What could be better about them if the space combat is better, like the actual dogfighting is better? Well, here's how a space battle would work in the other Star Wars Battlefront games. What would happen is, two capital ships would engage each other. So basically, you would have like a Star Destroyer versus like a huge Rebel cruiser. And what would happen is, the Imperial team would spawn in the Star Destroyer, obviously, and the Rebel team would spawn in their cruiser. And what would happen is, you could spawn as two classes. You could spawn as a pilot, or you could spawn as a Starship Trooper. And the Starship Trooper is used to kill. It cannot repair the advantages are that the Starship Trooper has a rocket launcher and has an assault rifle, but an assault blaster, I should say. Sorry. But the Starship Trooper, they could attack targets in the ships, and they could fire rocket launchers, obviously, but they cannot repair the fighters. They could not repair their ships, which makes it balanced. The pilots, they had charges on them. They had charges that they could place, and they had a blaster, this blaster pistol, and they could repair the fighters. And what would happen is, you would spawn in the hangar, and you would run down, and you would see all the fighters. You would see a small fighter, then you would see like the hybrid between the fighter and the bomber, and then you would see the bomber, and then you would see a transport ship. And the fighter, like I said, the fighter is used to kill other fighters, obviously. The hybrid fighter is used, basically, it can dogfight, but it can also bomb targets. The bomber, in that game, was used to bomb targets on the capital ship and the other cruisers. That's what it was used for. The transport ship could be used to transport a bunch of people into another ship. So basically, you could take the transport ship, you could fly all the way towards the enemy ship, you could land inside the enemy ship, and then you could use that as a spawn, and that would be as a spawn for your team until the enemy team destroyed the other transport ship. So basically, you would be able to run outside of the ship, and you would be able to drop troops in. Yes, in the old Star Wars Battlefront game, the Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original one, you could land in the enemy ship. Yes, you could. And you could fight your way through the enemy ship. And when you fight your way through the enemy ship, you could actually destroy things inside the ship that change the battle on the outside. I'll give you an example. I could run inside the ship, and I could destroy the shield generator. And when I destroy the shield generator, obviously, the ship's shields are down. And then all the fighters and the bombers and everybody, all the teammates outside, they could target the capital ship then. That's teamwork. You have one team go inside the ship, one team flying outside. You coordinate, you work together. That's what was amazing about the original Star Wars Battlefront space battles. So, and you could destroy other parts. Like, you could destroy the turrets. You could take over the turrets even and choose their own turrets against them. You could destroy a bunch of things. You could destroy the engines from the inside, and it would really damage the enemies. Like, the tickets would go down. If I destroyed like an engine, if I destroyed the ion generator, the enemy team's tickets would go down dramatically. So somebody always had to protect that in their own ship, and that's what made the gameplay so unique. You know, you could fight outside, you could fight fighter to fighter, or you could fight inside the ship. And not only that, but each main ship had a few frigates next to it. Like, the Rebels had a few frigates next to them, and the Imperials had a few frigates next to them. Those frigates would also attack the fighters. They were commanded by AI. And you could destroy those frigates. If you put enough damage on them, you could destroy them. And when you destroyed them, it would make the enemy's tickets go down. And the fighters on the outside, they can destroy things that the people on the inside can't. Like, for example, they can destroy the bridge of the ship. They can destroy a bunch of various other things, and it would make the enemy's tickets go down. That's how space battles worked with each other. It was cruiser to cruiser. Each cruiser would attack the other cruiser. You would have fighters going from each one, and you would be attacking each other. You could land in the enemy ship. Now, how do space battles work? How do space battles work in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one, the beta? Well, what space battles work is, again, it's a cinematic, linear experience. Sorry for that, talking a lot. So what happens is, in the space battles in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one, the beta, it's basically it's an improvement from the other one. I'll give it that. It's an improvement from Star Wars Battlefront 2 in that in Star Wars Battlefront 2 they only had where it was just fighters versus fighters. That's all they had, and they didn't have space battles specifically unless you count the DLCs, which I didn't count on the base game. So what happens is, in the battle, that they have a cinematic battle, like, again, with objectives, similar to operations mode, similar to the mode. So basically, the rebels have to come in, they have to sabotage, like, a space station that's, like, repairing a Star Destroyer or something like that, and they have to fly in, and they have to destroy 2 Imperial frigates. So they have to destroy the 2 Imperial frigates. Once they destroy the 2 Imperial frigates, they have to fly towards they have to fly inside the space station, and they have to destroy like 5 shield generators, and those shield generators can take so much damage. And I'll tell you this, I have played like 30 matches on that. I've played that all night, like literally 70% of my battles were in space, 30% of my battles were on ground, so I played mostly space last night. And I'll tell you this, every single time I played as Imperials, even when I had a crappy team, I would win. Every single time. And every single time I played as Rebels, I would lose. Out of those 30-something matches I played, I did not see the Rebellion win one time. They did not win one time. It is way, way, way too hard for the Rebellion to win. It's way, way too hard. And it's ridiculous how many objectives they have to complete, and it's ridiculous how many tickets they get down. And every time the Rebels die, they lose tickets, and when they go down to 0, the Imperials win, and the Rebels win only when they complete all the objectives. And what's ridiculous is that some of these objectives take way too long to complete. Like, for example, the shield generator part. 90% of the games I played, our team didn't get past the shield generator part. They didn't destroy the shield generators. The Imperials always destroy us, and those shield generators can take so much damage, and it's so annoying. You take your fighter, and you fly into the space station, and you have to target the shield generators, and they take so much damage, and there's like 5 of them, and you have to destroy them all. And if your teammates aren't helping you, if your teammates aren't backing you up, you're gonna lose even quicker. It was so frustrating when I was like the only guy in there, and I was trying to destroy the shield generators, and nobody was helping me, and you can't even destroy them on one pass. You can't destroy them on one pass. You can't even destroy them on 2 passes. You have to probably make like 4 or 5 passes just to destroy 1 shield generator. That's how much damage they can take. And it's so annoying. I have to fly into the space station. I have to play Ring Around the Rosie. I have to slow my aircraft down. Then I have to turn all the way back around, shoot at the generator, go all the way back around, recharge my weapons, shoot back at the generators, Ring Around the Rosie. It's annoying. And then the stupid TIE interceptors, they kept coming back into the space station, and then they kept killing me over and over and over again. So this mode, it's only an objective-based mode. It's only with space to space. There's no ship combat inside. You can't go into enemy ships. You can't land inside enemy ships, and you can't fight people in those ships. It's frustrating. It's annoying. I don't know why they have that in there. And to top it off, because it's so hard for the Rebels to win, one time we finally destroyed the shield generators, and I was like, yes, we destroyed the shield generators, we won, right? Nope, we didn't. We still have to complete like 3 more objectives, and we barely had any tickets, and I was like, oh my god, we're not gonna win this. This is impossible. One time I had the best team ever. We were killing the enemy, we were wiping them out, we were destroying them, but even when we were destroying them, we could not get past the shield generator. Once we got past the shield generator part, it goes to a whole new sequence where you have to fly across the space station, and there's like a Star Destroyer that's like docked into the space station. And the worst part about this is there's like 4 hooks that the Star Destroyer is on. You have to destroy all 4 hooks, then you have to fly under the Star Destroyer, and then you have to target the shield generator under it. And what happens is you only have like 20 seconds to target the shield generator. After those 20 seconds, you fly back up, and you have to destroy all four cranes, all 4 parts holding the Star Destroyer again. Then you have 20 seconds to destroy the shield generator, and then the things hook on again. Then you have to destroy all 4 hooks again. So it's just repeat and rinse. It's just the same thing over and over again, and it's annoying. You have to fly to the top of the Star Destroyer, then you have to fly under it, then you have to fly to the top, and it's so frustrating. And like I said again, if your teammates are not helping you, you are gonna lose this mode really, really, really quickly. This is a very team-oriented mode. And I don't mind a mode like this. I don't mind it, but give us the original space battles. Give us the space battles that we wanted. The ones who Star Wars Battlefront 2, the old game, had. Give us those kind of space battles where it's basically capital ship to capital ship. Those kind of space battles. Don't give us this BS, this objective-based, like, linear mode. I don't want to play this. I want to play the original space battles where both teams were balanced. both teams were fair, and both teams had a good chance of winning against each other. That's how it should be. It's so frustrating. And these objectives, I haven't seen the Rebels win. I had to watch a YouTube video of the Rebels winning. I couldn't believe I even found a YouTube video. And if you guys Google this and you type in "it's too hard for the Rebels to win," I'm not the only one who shares this. I was playing this 30-something matches, did not win one time as the Rebels. It is way, way too hard to win as the Rebels. And the Imperials, all they have to do is just keep killing you. They have to get behind you when you're in the space station. And they just keep blowing you up. And finally, now that we've talked about the space battles, let's talk about the worst part. The worst part of Star Wars Battlefront. That's not the space battles. The worst part of Star Wars Battlefront are the microtransactions. Remember how they promised that the DLC would be free as a makeup, as an I'm sorry for basically their failures in Star Wars Battlefront 1? That first game, the Star Wars Battlefront 1 in 2015, I won't forgive them for that. Like, that ruined my childhood because I got so excited for that Star Wars Battlefront game and it ruined my childhood. That's how personally I took it. And that's why I never really played the game. I played it for a little bit, got some of the trophies, completed some of the objectives, some of the missions, but I've never really played it that much because the game frustrated me. And this game, one good thing about the game is all DLCs are supposed to be free. That is until EA gets greedy and charges for the DLCs. But so far as I speak now, all the DLCs are supposed to be free. But what they did was to make up their lost money from the DLCs, and of course EA did this because it's EA, of course. They put microtransactions in the game. And while I wouldn't mind microtransactions, because like in a game like Battlefield 1 is one game I play a lot. Battlefield 1, the microtransactions don't really give you an advantage. They just give you some skins, and they give you some melee weapons. That's all they give you. They don't, and that's balanced in Battlefield 1. In Battlefield 1, it's fine. It doesn't really do anything. But in Star Wars Battlefront 2, it is a whole different story with the microtransactions. Let me get this going right now. Ooh. What happens in Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the microtransactions are used to purchase star cards. And with those star cards, they're basically like perks. If you're familiar with the Call of Duty games, they're like perks. And these perks can give you certain abilities. Like, for instance, you take 10% less damage when you're in a fighter. Or you do 10% more damage. Or your missiles fly faster. Or something else. And this not only does this apply to ships, but this also applies to ground. So both on ground and in space, you can have an advantage over another player. If you have star cards and another player doesn't have star cards, chances are you are going to win because your character and your ship is going to be much stronger than the other one. And the worst part about this is that you can buy these star cards with microtransactions. So the game basically becomes a pay-to-win scenario. And what happens is people who buy all the star cards, people who get the microtransactions, they can basically break the game for everybody, and they can ruin it. They can ruin it for everybody, and they can make the game really unbalanced. And a team that doesn't have any star cards versus a team that has star cards, they are going to wreck them. They are going to absolutely demolish them. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. One of the space battles that I joined in, I've noticed when I came in, when I flew in, like literally the first 5 seconds when I flew in, I got attacked by missiles, like homing missiles, and they caught up to me so quickly, I got blown up, and it was a bomber that did it. A bomber. It kept killing me. And I died, and I respawned. 5 seconds later, I died again from a different guy. And there was 2 guys on the enemy team that were flying around in bombers, and those 2 guys had like 4 star cards for each bomber. 4 star cards. I didn't even have 1 star card, and they were basically firing all these missiles, and they kept killing me and my teammates. I saw my teammates getting destroyed. Fighters were getting blown up by bombers. That's how overpowered these star cards are, and that's how much these star cards break the game. A bomber should not be able to beat a fighter in a dogfight. It shouldn't work like that. But that's exactly what was happening. Bombers were basically destroying us because they had all the star cards, and they were able to bomb our frigates too. So they were able to bomb our frigates, and they were able to wreck our fighters also with bombers. So these star cards, these microtransactions have the potential to break the game. And also, not only do these star cards apply to ships and infantry, they also apply, get this, give you certain weapons. So they give you certain weapons that other classes don't have, and they also apply to vehicles, like ground vehicles. They can be applied to tanks, so I can make my tank stronger. I can make my tank do more damage if I have a star card. And so these do have the potential to really break the game. And the worst part is, the star cards can be used on heroes. Yeah, that's right. They can be used on heroes. Like, I've noticed Boba Fett has one ability where he can when he fires a missile, he can't take any damage whatsoever. And he has another ability where his jetpack is unlimited for a certain amount of time. And I'm sure there's other abilities that increase your health. So these star cards, they have the potential to really, really, really mess up the game. So watch out for these microtransactions. We don't know what EA is going to do with these microtransactions, but we're going to have to wait to see. But as it stands right now, these microtransactions have really the potential to really, really destroy the game. So I guess that was my rant and my breakdown on Star Wars Battlefront 2, the beta. I played it for a whole day. I only got to play it for a day, but I got a good amount of good amount of gameplay. I got a good amount of idea of what's going to be in the game. And they've pissed me off with a lot of the things that I've listed down below. No galactic conquests. The space battles are dull. A lot of them are boring. Ring around the rosy. The microtransactions break the game. All the other things, the hip fire, the small other things that I listed. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys have enjoyed me doing this rant. This rant has gone on for a long time, but I was good at it because I knew what I was talking about and I watched a lot of the things in the thing. So if you enjoyed this rant, if you enjoyed me complaining about all this stuff and like doing this review, tell me down below if you want me to do other things on other games like this, basically saying what's broken with games, because I think I am pretty good at this. So if you guys do want me to do other videos like this, talking about like things in certain games, if you guys want me to do one on Call of Duty World War II specifically, on the beta, on that, because I played it on PC for a little bit, say that down below. But again, this game so far is not like this game. So if it was like this game with better graphics, be a total success. That's all they have to do. All they have to do is follow the formula in this game. Just follow the damn formula in this game. I don't know how hard it can be. But reviewers are going to rip this game, I'm sure. One thing that I am really looking forward to is I'm really looking forward to the single player. I hope that the single player is good, and I hope I really enjoy the single player. And I really hope that the single player, that it's based from an Imperial standpoint, and it stays from an Imperial standpoint, because that's what it was. That was what the campaign was in Star Wars Battlefront 2. In Star Wars Battlefront 2, the campaign was based on the Empire. It revolved around the Empire. And what was cool about it was it started out during the Separatist crisis. Started out when you were playing as the clones, and you worked your way all the way to the Battle of Hoth. So it started from the Battle of Geonosis, and it worked all the way to the Battle of Hoth. That's how in-depth the story mode in Star Wars Battlefront 2 was. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 actually had a decent storyline. I actually thought the storyline in Star Wars Battlefront 2 was good because it answered a lot of the questions that were in between. For example, one of the major events in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original, was when the Kaminoans tried to make a clone army. They tried to make a clone army to rebel against the Imperial clones. And what happened is, after the Imperials raided Kamino with the help of Boba Fett, and they took it over and they killed the rogue Kaminoans. And after that, the Emperor declared that there will be no more cloning, and we are going to start drafting soldiers. That's where the Stormtroopers came in. That's why the Stormtroopers were replaced by clones. That Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original game, explained that. But unfortunately, a lot of that's not canon anymore. But it did fill in a lot of the blanks. And this game, the story mode is supposed to fill in the blanks in a lot of the events between Episode 6 and Episode 7. And so it starts at the end of Episode 6 and it ends at the beginning of Episode 7 on Starkiller Base. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope that the story mode is good. I hope I enjoy the story mode, because what I really don't want to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen, I really, really, really hope it doesn't happen, we never get to see an Imperial point of view. I want to see an Imperial point of view. That's what I really want to see. I want to play as the bad guys, and I want to play as the Imperials. I want to see their perspective on things. I want to see what it's like, the side of the conflict is like from their eyes, because we always see it from the Rebellion's eyes. So I want to see it from the Imperial eyes, and we're Imperial Special Forces, which is supposed to make the story mode really interesting, and they're supposed to be interesting, likable characters. And, they're going to do it that the Empire, they have characters that you're going to like, characters that you're going to share values with, characters that you can emphasize with, and you get to see their point of view, and that they're humans. They're not all completely evil. They're not horrible. They're not dull. They're not completely evil. While the Empire is not good, I would say, you get to see that side of you, that not everybody that works for them is horrible. But what I really hope they don't do is, I really hope they don't make it where the character just changes sides in the middle of the story, and she just says, you know what, I'm going to be a rebel now. I really hope they don't do that. If they do that, they're going to ruin the story. They are going to ruin the story. Keep it as an empire from beginning to end. No changing factions. No changing factions to the rebellion. None whatsoever. Keep it empire from beginning to end. I swear, if they change it midway through the storyline where you become a rebel in it, I'm gonna get so infuriated. That's gonna really annoy me. That's the most like typical cliche that they can possibly do in a games. So I hope that they don't do that. Keep it Empire until Empire. That's how they do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed this rant. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.